Hi guys, so today I'm going to show you how to set up a PCEM with Windows 98 and then install retro games called Ultimate Soccer Manager 98. So I put the links in the description of the video. Let's start by downloading the PC emulator for Windows. So first of all, I want to put it in a folder called emulator on one of my disks. You can put it wherever you want. So to create the folder, you right click, new folder, and you put whatever name you want on it. I will start on this emulator folder and put it in here, which is where I will put all the files I download. Secondly, Windows 98. We have the link for the ISO file. If we scroll down, you can see on the right side, you can click on the ISO image for download. And we do the same here and put it into the same folder. I've already done that already, so I'll just show where the links are. For the V17 ROMs, which is the drivers for the emulator, you will be downloading in the zip file because they don't have any other type of files. When it comes to Ultimate Soccer Manager, you will be on top of this page. When you scroll down, there is a download link that sends you down here. You can download the ISO version for the UK or the French one if that's more suited for your language. And here you also have some game extras if you want those. Lastly, is you can download 7-zip. It might be useful. It's not necessarily needed because Windows have its own zip program, but sometimes it locks up and use like 1 or 2 hours in very small zip files. So if you experience that, I would recommend you download and install 7-zip and use that to unpack the files. So let's get started. Let's find the folder we downloaded the files to. And we go to the emulator. Here we have all these files. And the first thing we are going to do is to unzip the emulator itself. You can do right click, extract all, just do it to this folder, and you can see this is fine speed. You can see it slows down, but this should be done quite quickly, as you see. All right, and it opens up a new window. So while we are in this folder, we create 2 new folders. First one is CD-ROM. This is where we will be putting the ISO of the Windows and Ultimate Soccer Manager game. And we are going to make a folder called hard drive. And this is where we put, or where we create the hard disks or hard drives. And let's go back to the emulator folder. And we also need to unzip the ROMs, which are the drivers. And we can open it, select one, Control A to select all of them, Control C to copy. Back to our emulator folder, then we go into the PCEM Win folder, select a ROMs folder, and we Control V to paste all these folders into the emulator. So now the emulator itself is ready. So now we go back to where we have all our files. And we put the Windows 98 2nd edition ISO file, Control C. Go to the Win and to the CD-ROM folder, Control V. And we go back again, find the Ultimate Soccer Manager file. This is in a zip file, but if you would double click it, you will have an ISO file. Just click on that, Control C, go back to emulator folder and into the emulator and to the CD-ROM, Control V. So now we have these 2 ISO files in the CD-ROM folder. So let's get started. Let's try and run the PCEM. All right, so it's running. That's a good start. So first thing we are going to do is we are going to set up an emulator. And we do that by clicking on New. And we can call the computer old and slow. And here we go. So first we select pretty much the main board for the PC. Basically the worst or oldest are on top and the newest are at the bottom. So it is more and more, or better and better main boards. We are going to not pick the best one, but we are going to take the Shuttlehot 557. And when it comes to the CPU, let's go down and take Pentium MMX 233. Memory is fine at 128. Then we move to the monitors, device, and we select the Phoenix S3 Trio 64. One of the reasons we select this one and not, for example, some of the other alternatives is that this is a useful card, and it's also drivers are included in the Windows 98 2nd edition CD, so we don't need to mess up with own driver files. We do select Voodoo Graphics and we select Fast VLB PCI. On sound, on device, we select Sound Blaster 16, and that's basically also a bit like before. It will be automatically detected and installed by Windows 98, and it's also supported by most games or programs that you run on Windows 98. There are better options if you're into better sounds. So here we go to the hard drive. Everything is fine here, but we need to create the hard drive. So we click on New. We are going to set it at dynamic size. Should in theory mean that it can extend the size dynamically. I don't trust it 100%, so I just start by setting up 1.5 gigabyte. We can actually, let's take 2 gigabyte of disk space. You can note that whatever disk space you put in here, even though it's not filled in, it will take this amount of space on your regular computer. So we call the file drive main. The rest is fine. Okay. Drive is created. Okay. Then we move to the mouse. This should be fine. If you have troubles, you can select the PS2. And yeah, these two others are not. If you have a joystick, sure, but this we don't really need to do anything about yet. So let's click OK. So then if we click load, it should in theory start up the PC. So currently we haven't done anything with the configuration, so now it will probably just say something like you can't really do much, to be honest. Yeah, disk boot failure, insert system disk and press enter. So first thing we need to do is we need to connect the Windows 98 CD. So you can see on top here, CD-ROM, load image. Then we go to, it is already there now, but basically the folder and the CD-ROM where we set it. And double click on the Windows 98 2nd edition ISO. And what we need to do now is that once we are actually going to do a restart, and we need to do some configuration in the BIOS. So just so you are aware, when you click on the screen here on the emulator, to get out of it you can either click on the scroll wheel on your mouse, or you can click Ctrl Alt and then you will also jump out of this window. So in the system folder, system here, menu, Ctrl Alt Delete. Now you can see press Del to enter setup. We will be doing that. The delete button, and here we need to set that the PC needs to read the CD-ROM before it reads anything else. So let's go to, I think it is BIOS feature, and we scroll down to boot sequence. If you click page down And we are going to do that until we have CD-ROM first. C and A is fine. Then we can click escape and we can go to save and exit and click enter. And remember to click yes here or Y. Let's see how that goes. Boot from CD-ROM. So select that one and move the mouse cursor down. And then we go for start Windows 98 setup. Here we just click enter. And we can again click enter. And here we should be taking the arrow down. We want to enable large disk support. And setup will restart. And it says, please make sure Windows 98 boot disk is in drive A. We don't need to do that. It will work with the CD instead. So we just click enter. And we need to mouse or arrow down to the CD-ROM again. And we click enter. And it will go through formatting of C drive. And then we click continue. And we click continue again. Click next. And we just do typical. And install most common component is fine. Computer name. You can say put it whatever you want. Country. Just take your local country. Let's see. And start copying files, and then we wait. Yeah, so now we need to restart. And now we can boot from hard drive. Name and company we don't care about. Accept. We need to put in the key. And we can click finish. which of course doesn't mean finish. And we have the time zones. I'll just select the one near me, apply, and OK. And restart. And username and password is, we just leave that empty password. Alright, then that's step 1 completed. Alright, so the emulator is up and running and Windows 98 is installed. So yeah, step 1 is completed. So next up is, let's install Ultimate Soccer Manager 98. We go out and select on the CD-ROM, load image. We do the ultisoc.iso. And this Windows have like auto run on CD, so now we get the Sierra Studio loading from the CD. Let's just click install.
What an extraordinary goal!
What an extraordinary goal. Yes, we heard it. Then we go next. We just keep it in the folder as they want it. And yes, just click OK. And to-date DirectX is already installed, so OK. And do not install bookmarks, we don't care. And we don't need to see the README file. And we click Finish. So on Windows 98, when you install something like games or programs, if you click on the Start menu, Programs, and you can see Sierra, and here the shortcut is for Ultimate Soccer Manager 9899. So let's right click, create shortcut, and let's drag this shortcut to, we can put it here. We could also put it directly on the desktop as well, but let's do it like this and click. Alright, so now we have everything up and running. So a few more things before we end it. If we go to the video settings here, you can set the resolution and select resizable. When you do, you can use the mouse cursor on the corners and you can drag and select the size you want yourself. Secondly, there is also an option called toggle full screen. Control Alt page down is the short key for it. If you do that, you get full screen. Then Control Alt page down, and you are back to the regular window size. So that's one trick when it comes to the video settings. Secondly, let's shut down this instance. And let's say you want to try some other hardware than these sockets and sound blasters and these sort of things. What I highly recommend is, first of all, create a new instance instead of using the old and slow one. Let's call it old and not so slow. And instead of the configuration, let's try something else. Like, let's say we want to try gigabyte. We want to have Voodoo 3000, Sound Blaster PCI 128, etc., etc. So before you do that, what I highly recommend is, on the hard drive, click on the folder where it is. And you might not see it because it says by default IMG and VHD files, which is not the format of our hard drive. So click on all files. You can see we call it hard drive main with the capital letters when we don't select it in a different folder, which we were supposed to do. We're supposed to put it here, but then it ends up in the same folder as the emulator is. So what we will do now, we will click on it. I will click Control C, which copies it. I'm going to go into the hard drive. Click Control V. And I'm going to click once to rename it. Then hard drive main conf2. And what this does is basically it creates a copy of the disk you have. And the reason why I do that, let's also open this and click OK. The reason why I do that is that when you start messing up with the different configuration, it might not work as it should. It could be that the sound doesn't work because you lack the drivers in Windows and everything, and you might mess up the Windows installation totally. And it's not as simple as it would be maybe in Windows 10 or 11, where you can just, okay, we just change back to the old hardware and it will detect everything. In fact, if you did just what I've done now and change to the exact same configuration as we have on the other one that everything works in, it would stop working and you would have big problems with drivers. The only way you would be able to solve it, I think, would be to reinstall Windows 98. So if you're going to try out new configurations, either set up new configurations, send you emulated computer, and if not, at least make a new hard drive for it. And yeah, that's it, I think. And yeah, hope you got everything working, and if there was any issues during it or any questions, please just add it in the comments. And if you liked it and it worked out, please hit the like button if you feel like it. And thank you for watching and have a great evening.